Welcome to the very last episode of IGN Weekly for 2006. Now there's been plenty of gaming news and information to come out of this last year, much too much to cover all at once. So instead, we here at IGN have compiled a top 10 list of the most important and newsworthy gaming information and events of the past year. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The big surprise really was not just that it was Halo RTS by Ensemble, but that there was a movie and that Peter Jackson was working on a Halo game, and all of a sudden this three-story arc, that's sort of closing down with Halo 3 already has this new life.
Pretty interesting stuff. I think, yeah, it should make the list, but it's hardly groundbreaking stuff.
I'm looking forward to Halo Wars a lot. I mean, I really like strategy games, so that should be kind of an interesting twist on the franchise that we've only really seen kind of one genre of game come out of, right? First-person shooters.
I think that was the way originally the Halo franchise was supposed to go. At this point, it seems like kind of a strange decision to me, but whatever. It's still Halo. I'm sure it'll do pretty well. They always do well.
Halo RTS online, it's gonna do great.
The Halo movie, I'm super stoked about. I think Peter Jackson is a god.
The Halo movie thing wasn't that big a deal to me because it's kind of obvious, but the Peter Jackson thing was awesome.
Halo movie, kind of expected. Don't know if it's a big surprise. Pretty big news, though. We'll see if it actually comes to fruition.
They said they're bringing out the movies, and Peter Jackson possibly is even working on sort of a interactive cutscene kind of game.
I don't really care about that. All I care about is the next real Halo with the next real multiplayer, and that's what's going to be exciting.
Number 9 on the list is Team Fortress, Portal.
Half-Life 2, Episode 1 and 2.
Valve really kind of blew us away at the EA Day this past summer.
Because nobody expected it whatsoever. We didn't expect any kind of crazy announcements there.
So I think it should be like around number 2 or number 3, not number 9.
I guess it's a big deal, but it's some new games from Valve, and I think that's what's surprising.
One nasty little package that console gamers were absolutely excited about, and they should be, because Half-Life, obviously very big franchise, really good games.
Ooh, I can't wait for Team Fortress 2. That one's going to be awesome.
I'm not a huge Team Fortress fan, which I guess is weird, but Half-Life 2 on the consoles is totally sweet. And Team Fortress 2, Valve's been talking about for 8-9 years, whatever it is. And so that's a huge deal. It's one of the best multiplayer games.
They've really revamped a lot of the classes, and it seems like they've made a lot of them a lot more distinct than they used to be.
I think Valve actually coming out and showing Team Fortress 2, which has a completely different looking art style than anything they've done before in Half-Life. Some people were kind of up in arms with it early on. I actually loved it. I think a lot of people actually got behind it. Portal
Kind of interests me a little bit. If I was to get back into the first-person shooter gig, that probably would be one of the things that would make it more promising for me.
Portal obviously looks just really weird and cool, and it looks like it probably ties into the Half-Life world as well.
Probably my favorite part of the deal because it looks very Metroid-y, just more of an adventure/exploration kind of game than it is a shooter or whatever. So looks like cool stuff's coming out of Valve, and that's why it's clocking in at number 9.
So it looks like 2006 became the new 1986.
Number 8, retro gaming craze. Seems pretty fair, not the biggest thing in the world of gaming this year, but big enough.
You spend $5 on a game, you get it, you play it for like an hour or two. On the 360 you get achievement points, which is a pretty big deal. And they're just really fun games you can go back and play.
Everybody's getting back into, I want to download old games, be it from Xbox Live, the new Wii Online shop, and as well with the PS3 you can get PS1 games and new games.
I mean, basically if you haven't played Gunstar Heroes yet, you're a jerk and you don't deserve to ever play it.
I think a lot of it has to do also with just, gamers getting a little bit older and wanting to kind of relive some of those great memories they had when they were kids.
When you do run out of things to do, it's pretty cool to just boot up an old game, and I think that's probably what all the value in this is and all the interest is.
I do wonder if people are ready to pay $5, $10 for these games that are 20-year-old technology.
I do think they're slightly overpriced.
I personally think it's a little high.
I think the prices are a bit high. I think, for a game that I played a long time ago that, I don't think really takes too much resource to really put into a system that you can download and play at this point.
It's hard to go and spend 800 points, on a game that you probably still have the cartridge to.
I think they can afford to bring it down because it costs them nothing to bring out. I mean, they could release them at $1 and they'd make money off of it.
What's the worth of these games now? There's just sort of random prices being put on stuff, and I think that's probably the most dangerous part of it. But people are just testing the waters, and they're offering a lot of good options. and I think that's probably the biggest part of it, is everybody is into it, you know, everybody's downloading stuff.
I would pick the Xbox Live service. I mean, they have, so far they're the most games. I mean, the Nintendo stuff's going to catch up, but the Xbox Live also has original content on there. Like Cloning Clyde was really fun, and Assault Heroes is great.
I like the Wii Online shop because, of course, it has all these great games from Sega, from Nintendo, and so much more to come that are guaranteed winners for games. But I got to give it up to Microsoft for having new, unique games, plus lots of old ones and stuff like Mortal Kombat Online and that. Really great value.
Gears of War, Epic's first Xbox 360 game on Xbox 360, has already sold 2 million copies worldwide.
The amount of hype that it got, almost on Halo levels, is pretty impressive. And I mean, you know, good job to Epic, just, you know, they made a great game.
Gears of War sold 2 million copies because it is the best looking video game I have ever seen.
I mean, Gears of War is big, I think, simply because it sold so many copies so quickly, but you know, I think the game was a little overhyped.
Really surprised that it's received that much hype just for a game, you know, that essentially is a third-person shooter that looks really, really good, but I mean, there's got to be something there, so.
Well, I don't know that, from what I've played of Gears, I don't know that I would rate it quite as high as everybody else, but it's definitely a really solid game. It looks fantastic, presentation's awesome, so like all of that, the visuals and, you know, how much it pushes the system, and, you know, I mean, the hype certainly played into it, but it really drew a lot of attention, and deservedly. I mean, it's a great game.
It's actually not the same type of Halo crazy community-based game that everybody sort of thinks it is. It's really just sort of a graphical explosion, and then you're sort of done with it and you move on to Rainbow Six Vegas.
I think people are definitely looking to have the next big game that they can really latch onto and start to love, and you know, like Halo was, and I think people are using Gears of War in that respect, and obviously, you know, Epic is going to play this one out like crazy.
It's pretty clear to me that Gears of War, this is not the end of it, and they kind of hinted that in the game, and it's a really huge new franchise selling 2 million copies, so you're going to see more of it. Will they go the trilogy route? I'm kind of getting tired of everybody choosing 3 games being part of one major story as kind of a shtick, but